Hello and welcome to the Strategy, Sales and Systems podcast. I'm Dani Louise Smith, business consultant, mentor and the queen of business organisation. And this podcast is for service-based business owners who want to make consistent income without burning themselves out. Here we focus on income-producing activities for service-based businesses built around simple strategy, supportive sales and organised systems that actually work when life is unpredictable. No hustle culture, no doing all the things, just clear strategy, sustainable sales and systems that support you, not drain you. If you're ready to grow your business in the way that feels calm, intentional and aligned with real life, then you're in the right place. Let's get into today's episode. So today's episode is the next in the series where I am reading from the chapters of my best-selling book, Business Fundamentals. Now, I just have to say before I get into this, I think I'm going to need to start in that spiel for the introduction and my outro one, because first of all, with my ADHD forgetfulness, right, it's remembering to say the whole thing and open it up and read it like a script. I don't really do scripts. So that's a lot, so I think I'm going to have to adjust that. I'm trying to be professional, remind you who I am, and keep on going, because I don't know, you might be new, you might not know who I am, you might have landed on this episode, and you might love it, so you need to know who I am and what I do. So that's the first thing, but yeah, it is a challenge sometimes, so make sure you get that in, and just remembering, and I'm definitely going to shorten that down. Okay, so today's is calling in the clients. I'm so excited for this one. Probably going to have a few comments to make throughout, but let's get going. I'm literally reading from the book again and probably will continue to do from each future episode, which probably seems a little rude when I'm not looking at the camera, but it's just easier for me, my brain, and being able to keep up with where I'm at. So let's get into it. So starting with character clarity. Selling to your ideal clients is like writing a story. You need to know the characters as though they are real, living people where you describe them like you can see them in front of you. It's the same with your business and the person you are aiming to sell to. Our thoughts around sales tend to go towards the negative experiences you have had from being sold to, like cold callers, car dealers, or being stopped in the street. None of these methods we like or enjoy, and it paves the way for the narrative that selling is bad. Selling is serving someone what they need. In your mind's eye, picture serving your ideal clients with what they need. It's much better when you tap into the idea of helping someone rather than just selling to them. Hopefully you will feel more comfortable with selling to this person once you reframe that, you know you're helping them. The system I've created for connecting to your ideal client is creating a dreamy client's brief, or what most marketers call an avatar. You can physically draw or design what this person looks like, but the document I create is all about connecting with who they are, what problems they have, and the results they're looking for. I create a document to cement the idea and become, why can I not read my own book? And become a reference every time I'm creating social media content, writing copy for sales pages, or going live and talking to my audience. You may want to update this over time too, as you and your business develops and evolves. Getting clarity on who you are serving is very stereotypical. It's probably the only time it's okay to be stereotypical. The biggest mistake with deciding who you are selling to is thinking about who could buy rather than who would buy. Remember, a confused mind says no. The proof is in my own story and how going from being a creative business owner and becoming a creative business coach, targeting creative business owners, I succeeded and landed clients on day one, then changing my niche and getting specific, and instead messaging to women in service-based businesses. When I became the queen of business organisation, I was speaking to just business owners, and as soon as I narrowed down and targeted service-based businesses, I attracted more clients. One of the reasons I've been able to sell out programs and sign new clients consistently is because of how I targeted both my ideal clients. There were no coincidences, again, that once I narrowed down who I was selling to, my business grew. It's about knowing the demographics, gender, age, location, income, occupation, but also knowing the psychographics, their personality, lifestyle, attitudes, social status, activities, interests and opinions. You really must know your dream client and what makes them the one who would buy what you have to offer. Think about their common struggles and their core desires. For example, my dreamy client struggles with selling. It's because she has no strategy in place. Most of the things that are in this book. She isn't clear enough on her vision, values and messages, and needs to get organised with her daily business activities because she desires more freedom. Through earning more. She wants to book the dream holiday, treat the kids over summer and not have to count the pennies on her next shopping trip. She isn't looking for a millionaire lifestyle, but she is looking to improve her life day by day. Does this sound like you? If you resonate, then I have clearly nailed my ideal client persona. I know her so well because she is me. She is the version of me who has been through the journey I am sharing with you in this book. I'm not touching on sales just yet, but I want to share with you the secrets of buying behaviour, because once you fully understand this, alongside clarity on your ideal client, you can implement it into your marketing and your sales will increase easily. It's simply because once you know and communicate this in your content, you attract the right people because the message hits. People buy for either wealth, health, or relationships. What you sell will fall into these categories. For example, I sell services that help clients earn more money and create more freedom, which fits into wealth, but it has a direct impact on their health and relationships too. Noticing the connection in what you sell can effectively help you present the transformation that you can offer your client. When people buy, there are typical triggers that buying behaviour is a direct result of. The buying behaviour triggers are to earn money, to save money, to elevate status, or to get out of pain. It is easy to see how what I do impacts a client's buying behaviours. I help them earn money and get out of pain because the stress of needing more money is eased, the overwhelm of not knowing how to grow their business is eased as I teach them how. Often there may be one or more buying triggers. I want to share another example to help you recognise your client's triggers. When I was selling memory keepsakes, my ideal client was buying to elevate status and to get out of pain. My clients often purchase because they unfortunately suffered a bereavement, and when buying from me it was for themselves, to get out of pain with grief and create something to capture a beautiful memory. But they were often purchased as gifts, and I recognised that they were quite proud of this gift as it's unique, more thoughtful and quite expensive too. I imagined my ideal client revealing this to their family and how they may feel. I know how I would feel, like my gift was the best. This elevated the status of being granted the best gift giver. Nobody can beat something like that. People always want to be liked and feel good enough, which is what the desire for this client in buying this gift was. Think about your ideal client, how buying from you moved from pain to pleasure. This is where you can connect with them on a whole new level. It may be clear now why I had to change who I was speaking to and why I had to break up with my existing creative clients to be able to move into this new target market and niche. Marketing to just anyone is simply going to mean that what you say or do isn't going to be attractive to anyone. It was a tough call for me, but when I could tap into my new client's desire of helping others with their services whilst creating freedom for themselves, it just secured the sale even easier. And the consistent welcome of new clients continued from the moment I had relaunched my mastermind and sold out my group program. Next, we're looking into lead generation organisation. Obviously one of my favourite things because it's about organisation. You're set on who your ideal client is. You've started talking to them with your content. Now what? You want to get those inquiries in and generate leads. A lead is a person who is interested in what you have to offer. At this point, you want to ensure you track who is asking questions, why they're asking, and where they asked it. These days, we use many platforms to communicate our messages, so it can easily be a lot to remember. This is why having a lead tracking system is important. I'm just going to interrupt this as well because of something that's recently happened to a client of mine. One of my original clients, who was a creative client and then set up a service-based business and stayed with me for 4 years, which is amazing. She has just recently lost her social media profiles, and I always bag on about the importance of email marketing, but in terms of lead generation, this has had an impact because although she tracked everybody that inquired, she hadn't always captured their email or their phone number, and so what has happened here is that she might have had a note to contact this person on Messenger, to contact this person on Facebook page, Instagram page, and so on, right? You get the idea. It was through social media. But because she hadn't got this person's email address or phone number, now that her social media has been taken down and she's no access to it, she now is not able to contact and follow up on those leads until she recovers her account. And so far, it's been over a month. So I want you to think about this, and I want to think about where you capture someone's email, you capture someone's phone number instantly when they inquire. And it's made me think about this because I do track people and where they communicated, but I don't often instantly get their email or their phone number, so this needs to change. And I've always been resistant to using phone numbers, but There is power in this, and I'm not going to be the person that rings people, spams people with text. That's not my style. So as long as you can communicate that to them and why you're getting their details and what you want it for, you're okay. Get those leads acquired. Right, back to the book. In my first business, I would get phone calls, emails, messages on my personal Facebook profile, messages on my business page, comments on my posts, and occasionally Instagram. All these avenues I had built for people to see what I offer were great, but I could easily lose a lead in the transaction as I posted more content, received more messages, and lost track of who was contacting me. At that moment in time, I began taking note of the name, the inquiry, where they inquired, and scheduled a reminder to follow up days later. I used my Google Calendar for this and ensured that every time a potential customer asked a question, I made a note of it. These days, it's easy for the client to get lost in all my other tasks on my calendar, so I created a system to track them separately to my to-do list using Trello. Trello is free and I love it. You can use something else, a notebook, a spreadsheet, or notes on your mobile. It doesn't matter as long as you know who you're intending to talk to, what their needs are, and how to contact them. Gonna interrupt myself again. I no longer use Trello. I now use Basecamp, which I have spoken about in previous episodes, and it's an amazing project management system. It's not free, but you can join starting at £11. Not an affiliate because I don't have an affiliate scheme. Wish they did. However, what I also want to note is tracking them on paper in a notebook, something you can lose, is not a good idea. Definitely have a digital copy and back it up as well, because I have had so many clients that have been so adamant that they prefer paper, which is fine until it's not. So I've had a client who did everything on paper and then she lost it in some building work to her house. She recreated all those plans and that paper only to go and lose it again. So it's like, oh, what are you not learning from this? And obviously this second time it changed things. She actually put everything on digital platform. Google Drive is free, OneDrive, there are many cloud storage spaces you can use, and I'd advocate for using them to store everything. Okay, back to the chapter. Here's what I track. Their initial inquiry, this puts them on my lead board. Point of contact and follow up after initial inquiry and their reply. If I have invited them to a free Zoom clarity call and sent the link, if they've booked a call, follow up after the call straight away and propose an offer. Follow up 2 days after the call, and if they've been won and they've enrolled as a client, or if they've lost and they didn't enroll as a client. So I always take people through that process. So it's like initial inquiry, follow up, their response, inviting them to a Zoom clarity call is like my next goal. If they've booked the call, a follow up after the call or after not booking the call, and if I've won them or if I have lost them. That's what I track. It's a lot to track, isn't it? Your lead flow will depend on the steps you want to take for your business. However, that is how I manage mine. This is why I set up a Trello board for easy management. Plus, it's why I'm the queen of business organisation. I really do organise everything as much as I can within my business. The idea is that the lead starts at the first list on my lead Trello board and moves through to either be won or lost. Some people may sit in the middle for a while, which is why it's important to take note of their name and needs so that I can connect with them regularly. I must admit, this prospecting did make me feel the icky, that's what I put in here, the icky, and created a bad sales narrative at first because it felt like I was treating people like numbers or money makers. The thing is, I knew I couldn't help anyone if I couldn't remember what their needs were. As my audience grew, I was dealing with thousands following on my social media pages and hundreds on my email list, so I needed a way to capture those who were coming forward to take my focus and attention. It also became easier once I realised that I don't do the hard sell. I connect with people and treat them like people and not a meal ticket. So it was easier to get over and it increased my chances of getting a result. This is your reminder that it's okay to do this work when selling. You're a business owner now and it's time to step into that CEO role. It actually serves people better if you can remember their name, their interests and their needs as your potential clients. As well as having your setup to track leads, you have to take action to attract them. I often see business owners do this only when launching something new, but the reality is that you should be prioritising lead generation all the time and not just now and again. This will grow your following, build your audience and lead to more sales. It's the first thing that you should do as a non-negotiable daily income producing activity. Again, There is no coincidence that when I consistently ensuring I connected with more people and welcomed them into my world, that my sales increased. If you have your message right, you have to position it in front of the right people. Know who you serve and go out and find them. At this point in my story, I had signed more clients than I had ever had, and with my programs I was offering bonuses that they could access to. I was glad for being organised because client management could very quickly become overwhelming if I wasn't. Which brings me to onboarding and retention. Once I had successfully relaunched my mastermind and sold out my first big group program, I had over 20 clients, so I needed to streamline as much as possible, ensuring everything was easier for me and for my clients. I noticed a gap in the market. Nobody seemed to focus on what to do once you sign the clients. Of course, deliver a great service, but what about onboarding them into your service? What about the next steps? What about streamlining this process to make it super simple? I'm going to share something with you that I have only shared with my business besties and mastermind clients as I was figuring out if this process could work. My onboarding automation process. I've already shown you the system I have to generate the lead, and now I'm taking you beyond, where the client says yes. Well, this stage starts at the point they book a call. My system takes it from there. However, I do like to personalise and connect by following up. But here's what happens in the background. They first get a welcome email. The client is welcomed and provided with the contract for the service. Next up, the client is introduced to the features of the service, example, the learning portal or the support group. Number 3, the client is welcomed to the group community, if there is one. Number 4, follow-up reminder to complete any steps, example, contract or join the community. Then number 5, the dates for the diary and reminder emails when live calls are happening. This may look confusing or overwhelming at first, but remember to take one step at a time, and this can be automated to save time. Realistically, doing these individual steps manually per client could burn you out, whilst managing other aspects of your business, which is why I'm hugely for business automation as early as possible. Imagine doing all the contracts, the payment links, the welcome emails and orientation, etc. individually with nearly 30 clients, which I had at the time of writing this book. I would spend more time back and forth ironing out all the wrinkles rather than supporting clients with what they really need or working further on my business. This is why I'm a huge advocate for systems and processes, because it does make everything easier and smoother. You set out as you mean to go on. So if you were reading this with only one client or a handful, just know that if you aim to increase your client base and increase your income, you must make space for it. I remember listening to a podcast by Dani Thomas where she stated that if you want to manifest more one-to-one clients but haven't created space for them in your diary, then that's blocking them from coming to you because the universe cannot find space for them. It is the same with systems you have in place to onboard clients. If you are not prepared to manage them, they will not come in. It does involve working with tech, and I know in the beginning it can be scary, hard and confusing, and I have been exactly where you are, but I overcame it, so you can too. Remember, as we navigated through earlier in this book, you can learn the skills, you can figure out the how, you only need to choose to have the mindset for it. This is a book, so there's only so much I can write to support this, but do know that you can reach me anytime at Queen of Business Organisation. These days I don't go by that. All my accounts are now Dani at Dani Louise Smith. I have changed it, which means the book is a bit outdated now. If you have any questions in relation to this, I help my clients with processes to streamline and save time like this all the time. You've done the whole journey, the leading, the onboarding, what next? Yes, there's a next step. It's much easier to retain a client than it is to sell to a new one, especially if you're delivering a great service. That's exactly what needs to be part of your strategy with your existing clients. The first place to start is that service suite you mapped out. Each service needs to fill a gap with where your client is on their journey, and it's important to ensure you can lead from one place to the next. Once your client's work with you comes to an end, always offer a next step. They won't automatically ask to stay working with you unless they know how they can. I remember sending them a recommendation of the next step for them before your current... I recommend sending them a recommendation of the next step for them before your current commitment ends and allow them to prepare for it. Not only does this retain clients and income for you, but it also ensures that your client isn't going to find it challenging to continue with your support and end up back at the beginning with the problem that they came to you with. Of course, the work you have done would have moved them along, but there's a lot of power in accountability. Always be mindful of the next step. And then master the management is the next section. do you know, I've just got to say, reading this reminds me of how much I've learned on this journey and how knowledgeable I am, what I've taken from experience, and how much I can help other people with their businesses. And I just love when people listen to me and implement what I recommend in place, and it just creates ease for them, it creates more flow, and it just gets results. I just love that. Anyway, back to the book. Master the management. Yes, there's still more to master around the management of bringing in clients and knowing where you're at with them. At this point, I'm counting on you having multiple clients working with you in different ways. This is where you could easily forget what you've committed to. For example, who had a bonus one-to-one session to take? This is where having a client management system in place will do the work. When I implemented this, it was all about simplicity and having everything in one simple place. Plus, I love a spreadsheet. Feeling overwhelmed with what I had promised and who to, I needed to do something to manage my relationships and services with clients better. Here is what I did. First of all, write down every service you currently offer, from top tier one-to-one work right down to group work, memberships, etc. For me, it looked like this: one-to-one mentoring, 6-month mastermind, foundations program, organised implementation mini-mind, sales success system course, passive sales and bundles, etc. Once I had mapped out the service I was currently offering, I could then list underneath each service the clients I had in and their monthly instalments. So for example, I'd have client like one-to-one mentoring, client 1, 2 and 3, £150 each month. Mastermind client 4, 5 and 6, 3 a month, 167 a month, or however that looked, and so on. And then I could add up the projected payments for each month and be aware of the money coming in, who had a payment plan, what the monthly instalments were and when they ended. This way it becomes easy to spot any missed payments, and I could make note of when payments or their contract comes to an end and ensure I offer the options for them to continue to work with me or fill that new income gap in my financial spreadsheet. The truth is, I really hate numbers. They get mixed up in my head and fry my brain, but they are very important in business, so I'm a huge advocate of knowing your numbers and managing your finances. I know it's not easy at all, which is why I love keeping things super simple and created a client management sheet which allows me to track all their recurring payments. I have added a copy of the document to your bonus resources section that goes along with this book. You can find it within my Organised Business Toolkit. Scan the QR code at the end of the book to access it and start tracking payments and managing your clients in an efficient way. You're welcome. I really feel truly grateful that I set up all of this before I then sold out my mini mastermind in 2024, because I would have otherwise been overwhelmed managing nearly 30 clients with all their different payment plans, services and bonuses. Let this be the sign that you need to be organised as you grow your business, otherwise it can become overwhelming with more to manage as you grow. And that's it for chapter 5, calling in the clients. I really massively leaned into the organisation side there, and I feel like not enough people consider that and do that. And even reading that for me has been insightful then, because at the time of recording this, it's January, and I'm already thinking about the new tax year in Q2 and what I want my management and my systems to look like. And I've got things everywhere, and I'm kind of bringing it all together, and I've wondered how I can streamline my client management alongside tracking payment plans, start dates, end dates, bonuses, all of that shebang. And I have actually just created a new sheet, but I've just got a brand new idea of how I'm going to make that look for the 2026 to 2027 tax year. And I'm really excited to go and create it. But what I usually do is I then go and update it as part of my Organised Business Toolkit, which you can get for free. You can opt in for free, but I'll update it on there. And anyone who gets this book, you scan the QR code and there's a whole wealth of resources in there as well to get access to. So I'd highly recommend that. Yeah. So I've just had a brainwave while recording this. I'm going to tell you. So in terms of that, I used to have a program that I've mentioned in there called Foundations, and I built this when I started as a business coach. I sold it many times. Loads of people have gone through it and got results. It was designed for creative businesses at first. However, if you service-based business and you apply it to that, you can still get results. I've had many people that have. But I am now in the process of creating something called the Boss Academy, which I'm so excited about because it brings everything I know about business and it brings everything I don't know about business in as well. And everything you could possibly think of about business about learning, developing a business, growing. It literally takes you from start-up to growth to scale, and it covers all of that. But the underlying focus is accountability and organisation, so that as you grow you've got support, and it's 12 months of live support alongside it. So it's got a training portal. I'm so excited that I just start going on about it, but it's got a training portal and it's got 12 months of live support, and it's got templates. It's about to have everything, and I'm rebuilding it. So it's like an upgrade, like a massive upgrade on my original foundations program. And I'm thinking that, what do I do with a foundations program now? I think I'm going to give it away for free. I think I'm going to give it to people for free. Those people are in that place where they need it. I can give that for free. And it gives people something to use, especially if they're not in a place right now where they can invest. So I'm going to think about how I do that. I think it'd be an amazing free thing to give to people. So, I mean, if you want the foundations program, pop me a message, Dani Louise Smith, on Facebook, Instagram. Go to my contact page on my website, get in touch. I'll give you it. Reach out. I'll be interested to see who gets access to this for free. Anyway, I'll see you in the next episode where I'll be talking media mastery. We're going to talk about the platform and foundations of a platform. We're going to talk about the myths, the truth and the choice when it comes to social media and mastering it. We're going to talk about the elements of social media and the power of planning. And then we'll talk about social success and the practical steps that you take. And that will be it for chapter 6. It's a really good chapter with lots of my thoughts and opinions around social media and the use of social media for your business. So I'm really excited to dive into that. Okay, let me do my end closing spiel. So if you enjoyed today's Strategy, Sales and Systems podcast, I'd love for you to take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another business owner who needs to hear this, who needs this in their life. You'll find links to my free resources, programs and upcoming events in the show notes or in the description, all designed to help you simplify your business, strengthen your sales and build systems that support your life, not run it. And remember, success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things in the right way for you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.